Hello everyone, in this video we are going to be talking about the PSE essay. So how do I write a strong PSE essay? Well, in this video you are going to find out. We are going to walk you through, give you examples, and show you how to craft a really impactful essay that wows the admissions committee. But before we start, I know I've said this before, but I just wanted to remind you that if you want more support, there's a lot available for you, and we are here for you. So there's the Essential package, which will give you access to essay coaching and email support. But for those who are looking for really a much more hands-on experience, the Premium package is for you. You'll get access to all the boot camps, but full admission support. So that's either video or over the phone, and we'll be there with you to answer any of your questions all through the way. Today I'm going to be talking about first the scoring. So let's talk about how exactly Queen's is looking at your essay, the format, and I'll show you a bit of a template which you can use to design your own essay, and then we'll go through a few examples. So first, how is your application scored? Well, the PSE is scored 2 possible marks out of 10. So I think at first glance you may think, wow, this isn't really that much for how much effort I'm putting into creating this essay. But think about it. The PSE list section is 2 marks, which means all of your extracurriculars that you've been working so hard for, your awards, your work experiences are worth just as much as how well you do on this one particular essay. It's very important that you have a structure to it and you really are able to communicate what you have learned and what you have achieved in an impactful way. And here's the scoring, which you can see here. So you'll receive 0, 1, or 2 marks. So 0 is going to be little or no reflection, not very strong writing skills, and you are not able to really demonstrate the learning outcome. 1, which is what a lot of people will be getting, is that there is some reflection and maturity demonstrated. There is a learning outcome stated, but it's quite basic. Language and word writing is also good, but not extraordinary. There's some errors, maybe not very impactful storytelling. And then there's extraordinary. So really, how are you going to move yourself from good to extraordinary? Well, this means that you're going to show significant reflection and maturity demonstrated in explanation of impact. Your learning outcome is directly tied to the experience and is clearly articulated and very insightful. And the writing skill is extraordinary. So you can see there's several components here, and you're going to make sure that you're ticking all of those boxes. So let's give you a bit of a breakdown in terms of what exactly the template are. Well, for the PSA essay, you're going to select one experience. So really think of one experience that you have partaken in, something that you have started, some opportunity where you have changed something for the better that you want to focus on. So consider all of your activities. Think of the communities that you've been involved in, the clubs, your work experiences, your athletics, if you wanted to start a business, and one that really stands out. In previous modules, we've talked about what that X factor, that independent leadership project, and that's exactly what we're going to be really showing here in the PSE. It's that one example. So think very deeply about which one you think has the most impact to you. And if you can't think of anything, there's also an opportunity to work with your coach to either explore if there's something you've already started that you can expand on, if there's a new project, or how really you can leverage everything that you've done in the past. And there is a essay length of 2,000 characters, so make sure you're keeping that in mind. It's not a super long essay, so every word really counts. And we recommend that it's completed within the last 4 years. So this is not an absolute requirement. However, you want to do an experience that's relevant to you. You don't want to do something that you did many, many years ago. You want to be able to directly tie to what you're doing to where you're going. And you need this essay in order to submit your application. So you may see in some places that the PSE is optional. This is not including commerce. Everyone applying to commerce has to complete this essay, so keep that in mind. And here's the actual question here. So it says, choose one extracurricular activity or one employment opportunity you have listed on your personal statement of experience. In 2,000 characters or fewer, describe the impact of this experience and the greatest learning outcome for you. Your answer will be evaluated for content and writing style. So this is going to be the same question that has been for the past 10 years at Queen's. So very broad and open, but they're looking for, as we said, those key elements. And what we've done for you is actually create an essay template. And this is really going to help you as you're crafting your essay, because I know that a lot of students struggle when they think of this one experience that they had and how they're going to be able to translate that onto paper. So do not worry, we have helped you out here. So if you go right below this video, you'll find this template where you can see this breakdown. And what I want you to do at this point, don't even worry about the essay writing. Think about bullet points. So for each part that we're going to go through in the next following minutes, create bullet points for what your achievements are. Create bullet points for your learning. You don't need to create full sentences. This is really just the idea creation stage. It is at a later stage that we'll bring all of this together to create a really impactful essay. And your PSE essay will contain 4 parts based on the formula that we are suggesting. So first is the hook. So this is really going to introduce the reader to the topic that you're talking about and bring them in. I know that when I was reviewing Queen's Commerce essays, it gets to a point where you're just reading essay after essay, and you really need something that's going to capture your attention or they'll start to blend together. So you're going to want to write something. It doesn't need to be super descriptive, but it's going to make the reader want to know more. So I think when you're writing any essay to try to convince someone of something, you're wanting them to spark curiosity. You're wanting them to look at it and say, okay, I've read this sentence. I want to know more about this. What is this person talking about? And that's really what you want to convey. The next part of the essay is going to be context. So this is going to be all the details surrounding the activity that you're targeting. So this might be who you were with. So when you started this project, what was the current context? If you were talking about a student club, say you had joined this club, what did it look like? Who was involved? Where did it take place? How long had it been going on for in this current state? And really, what is it that really started to get you involved here? The next is the catalyst. So the catalyst is going to focus on what you personally did and what was the action that motivated this change. So if you saw a club going one way, they had done one process of doing the club in the way they operated, rather they did this same event every single year. What was it about this process that you realized, I really should be doing something different? I think that there's a better way. Was there a certain experience? Was there someone that you particularly spoke to that perhaps sparked this curiosity, sparked this idea? You want to give the reader some insight into the process. They don't just want to know what exactly you did. They want to know the entire picture of how you got there. And the last piece here is the outcome. So this is going to be divided in 2 parts in 2 separate paragraphs. So the first is the impact. So this is based on the essay, based on your experience, what exactly was the impact that you made? So if, say, your example was that you started a charity, how much money did you raise? Who did you help? In a percentage-wise, what was the change? Were you recognized by others? So these don't need to be you raised $10,000. It could be that you made the difference in one person's life and they told you that this really shifted their direction. I would really focus this impact session on other people. The learning is where we're going to talk about how this experience impacted you and the skills that you learn, but this is going to be how you have positively contributed to the lives of others. And this can be at a small scale or a large scale. So there's really a lot of ways that you can craft this. There's not really one particular format that we recommend that you format this in. It's really something personal to you, and you're going to need to do some deep reflection here for that. The second part of the outcome piece that we're talking about is the learning. So I know that a lot of students, they are listing some type of learning. So if they talked about they had started a club, it went really well, they had a great experience, a lot of people enjoyed themselves in the club, they may say that this club taught them about collaboration. This taught them about working well with others. But that's really a surface level learning that a lot of students will have. So what we want you to do is take it to that next level, that deeper level of reflection and introspection to really understand what you had done, how it has impacted the world, how this has changed you as a person. So you are wanting to pick an example and really leverage something that you are not the same person you were at the beginning of the project. Can you think of an experience like that? If you're able to identify that, that's a level that's going to impact the reader. That may actually make them question their own current understandings or ideas. It may inspire them to launch something similar. So it's about having that reaction, that feeling and connection based on what you're learned. So I want you to really think deeply here. And I just wanted to also mention here that in the area where you're doing the context section, you're going to want to mention at least one area that you had some type of emotion. So it may be some type of feeling during that current experience at that beginning stages that shifted you into action. So say if you were starting the charity and it was because you had learned something in school about how there was a lot of disadvantaged people within your community. How did that make you feel? How did that impact you? And that will really craft the story of what really launched you into action. So I just wanted to add that in there before we move on to the next section. So let's actually go through a couple examples here. And I just want to highlight, we're already going to share with you these examples below this video. So take a look at it. We'll go through it really high level here, but then I want you to go through and read it yourself. Start to highlight what parts of these essays stood out to you, because those are the similar types of elements that when the admissions committee is reading, that they will really stick out to them as well. So you want to figure out how you're going to craft your own story in that. And I just want to say before, these are great examples, but they're not the only examples. So there are a lot of different ways in which you're going to be able to communicate the same value at a different scale. So let's start with this one. So I'm going to go section by section through these areas that we're talking about. So the first is the hook. So this person said, I struggled to find adequate opportunities in high school to improve my public speaking skills. So I decided to launch a club called Project Speak with 2 friends. So this is really a great introduction. It shows me really that what the current state was. So they weren't able to find opportunities in high school to improve their public speaking skills, which was something they were looking for. And so they decided, rather than saying, oh, I guess this isn't something available here, they've decided to launch their own. So that's a good introduction. This next part is the context. So it says, our vision was to bring speaking opportunities and training to high schoolers across the globe. I helped recruit 20 students for our first chapter. I developed training sessions based on world issues which engaged our members and prepared them for public speaking competitions. We saw a significant improvement in student speaking abilities that we decided to replicate elsewhere. This is a really good example. Let's break it down piece by piece. So first they're saying our vision was to bring these opportunities and trainings to high schoolers around the globe. So they had really a big picture thinking. This gives us context of what their idea was to begin with. They helped recruit 20 students. So that's something very specific. That's a specific number. And those are the types of quantifiable information that you want to embed into your essay. So they recruited 20 students. So that's the who and the where for their first chapter. And then what exactly did they do? So they developed training sessions based on world issues, and they prepared them for speaking competitions. They then saw such an impact on the students' abilities that they decided to want to expand it even further. So this is very interesting and keeps me wanting to know more. So this is really the catalyst. So I created the Project Speak Handbook, which consisted of everything that a new chapter lead would need to form a club, from meeting structure to club activities. I also took a graphic design course to help me create our logo, social media posts, and platform, ProjectSpeak.live. We then promoted the club on student websites through partnerships with organizations such as the Youth Nation Alliance and through getting to know schools and students from around the world. So again, this is showing what really had that change and that impact. What was that part? They're talking about everything that the new chapter lead would form a club. So the actual structure, so this is what they did. They're showing that they went beyond that. They actually took courses to learn more about it. So you don't need to position yourself as someone who knows everything right at the beginning. Showing the process, which is what I keep trying to emphasize, is what they're looking for. So you went out there to go above and beyond. You identified the gaps you didn't know. So this person didn't know how to maybe create a logo, how to promote on social media. So they decided to do a course in order to learn more about this. And so this is the impact here. So today we are a federally recognized nonprofit with 35 chapters across 75 countries. So that's directly showing what that impact was on a global scale. So they were able to expand, they were able to influence people on a global level, which is really interesting and impactful and exactly the type of person that Queen's Commerce is looking for. From Sparrow College in Argentina to Anna Grammar School in the UK, I have made a significant effort to train my chapter leads on our process. They have been very vocal about how much their students have benefited from the training. So you're showing exactly how this has affected others. So other people have been impacted by what you have done in a positive way. Notice here, it doesn't mention anything about what it's given this particular individual. It's about outward, what they've done for others. They have been very vocal about how much they have benefited, and Brian Edward, for example, used the skills in the Learn Speak project to pitch his booming tech startup, Be Smart. So this is mentioning a specific example. So this is quite interesting because it's showing not only we're saying this was the impact by numbers, but this is a particular individual who took what we had to help him go even further in his life, which is able to connect with the reader on even a more emotional level, and showing that this person actually started a startup as being part of this project. So this last section here is about the learning. So this is going to be all about you. So this says, I learned a tremendous amount about scaling an organization. You need vision, a trustworthy brand, transferable resources, and an extraordinary amount of hustle. My main takeaway was learning how to gain global traction. From Uber to Freshie, the key ingredient in any expansion strategy is localization. When recruiting our chapter leads, I saw the most success when I made an effort to understand the local school community, learn about their education system, and engage a translator to help ensure effective communication. So this is a very impactful learning. So when we're talking about surface level learning, that one score that people might receive, that's going to be, oh, I learned all about starting a business. I learned all about, hard work. But this is taking it the next level and showing that they have really understood what this project meant at a more global scale. This is going to take them to become an entrepreneur and a leader in the future. They're even mentoring brands who have also expanded in this way. So they mentioned Uber and Freshie. And the key ingredient to any successful expansion strategy is localization. So they're understanding that local market and how it makes a difference. Things in Toronto operate very differently than they do in Argentina. So being able to have that understanding at an age of 17 is really significant. It's very impressive, and it shows the reader that, wow, this person is really going to go far and they get it. And this is going to have them also start to question and start to become curious about their own opportunities, reflect on their own lives, which is going to make it very impactful. So really, I know that you may not have a very similar experience to the example that we're doing here, but you're able to pull those similar structure and define a learning outcome that is personal to you. Okay, let's look at this next example here. So this one's going to be quite different. So we're using this to show you a variety. It doesn't need to be one type of way. So this is the hook. So it says 4 years ago, I was a top-ranked junior player in the Ontario Tennis Association circuit. Fast forward today, I no longer compete, I coach. So this is interesting because it's an introduction, but it also sparks a bit of curiosity. So this person went from a player to a coach. So how did they get there? This makes me want to know more. Well, the context is, if you've never heard of wheelchair tennis, it's an ideal sport for handicapped individuals. However, its lack of resources and funding have left families unable to participate. In Ontario, for example, there are only 8 recreational programs, whereas wheelchair basketball has over 100. So this is really setting the stage of the who, the what, and the why, and the where. So that's everything that we're talking about when we created this structure. So you can see that this is setting the stage. What exactly is wheelchair tennis? The need, so the lack of resources and funding, and also the comparison. So there's already a lot for basketball, but there's a gap here. There's not that much for wheelchair tennis. So here's the catalyst. So it says, one day before my practice, I stumbled into a wheelchair tennis program on the courts. I noticed the joy and sportsmanship among the players. They were playing the sport like it was meant to be played. So I began volunteering as a wheelchair tennis coach once a week. I was I began to notice a positive contribution I was making and decided to pursue my wheelchair tennis coaching certification, where I am now one of the youngest certified coaches in North America. I felt inspired to expand my impact. So this is a great catalyst because it's showing what made that change. So there was the setting of the stage, what was the current situation, but what made the change. So this person stumbled into wheelchair tennis. They had a recognition of, wow, this is really causing people a lot of joy and sportsmanship. And so they actually started to take action. They started to be really involved themselves within the sport by helping others. They also took it a step further to take a certification. So you'll notice that was also in the other example of where there's a gap, you fill it. So how did you say, oh, I didn't have this knowledge. So what have I done to actually get there? That's important too. And this says at the end here that they're the youngest, one of the youngest certified coaches in North America. So that's showing your impact at a bit more of a global level. And although this is in the impact section, it does create more curiosity within the reader, and it's impressive. So here's the outcome from an impact perspective. So they say, in June 2016, I started a nonprofit wheelchair tennis program called 15 Wheels, which provides wheelchair youth the opportunity to find passion and possibility through tennis. I run workshops across Ontario, including players to the sport and training prospective coaches, who will start their own local programs from 15 Wheels. I've run 6 workshops across Ontario with over 100 participants. In August, we secured a workshop at the Rogers Cup, where we trained 2 coaches who are now in the process of opening up wheelchair programs in their respective communities. So this is a very impactful statement. Let's break it down here. So they've shown exactly what they've done. So this person started this program, what exactly they did within that program, so running workshops. They've really mentioned here specific numbers. Again, these quantifiable information is going to be really helpful for you. So these 6 workshops, over 100 participants, it's those numbers that you want to mention. They said that they had secured a workshop at the Rogers Cup. So wow, this is really impressive. This means that other people are standing behind this initiative and really agreeing with it as well and in support of it. So that shows your impact. Where they trained 2 coaches who are now in the process of opening up their wheelchair programs. So again, what you can see here, this impact is nothing to do about me, nothing to do about what I learned. It's all about what I've done for this community. And finally, the last section is about your learning. So my greatest learning outcome from this experience was the importance of looking outside of my own world. I was so caught up in the competitiveness of the sport that I forgot to enjoy and embrace how privileged I was to play tennis in the first place. I realized the purpose of sport isn't always to be the best. It's to create an inclusive environment focused on empowerment, support, and fun through a common agenda. This learning outcome really makes the admissions readers say, wow, this is the next level. This shows that they didn't just take a surface level learning. They actually looked inside themselves, recognized perhaps their own downfalls, that they had been so focused on being competitive, being the best, that they forgot to actually look at the bigger picture. And this is going to be something that they're going to be able to use this learning and apply it to other areas of their life. So this is exactly the type of format that you're going to want to use in your essay. So that's our example. But before I leave you here today, I just wanted to remind you that this is your unique story. I know that a lot of students, when they're writing these essays, they just keep thinking, what is the admissions committee going to like? Do I measure up compared to these big achievements that I'm seeing in these examples or from other students? But this is about you. So you can take an example that may be to you simple, but if you're able to really demonstrate a deep learning, you're going to be able to show the impact. Think about your experiences, reflect on what's most important to you, and you'll be able to craft something really significant and really impactful. And lastly, I just wanted to say, I know it's a very difficult time of year, especially with COVID hitting. A lot of things have changed, but we are here to support you. So again, we have that essential package with email support, but if you're looking for someone to give you that one-on-one support, help you throughout the process in an unlimited capacity, the premium package is also for you, where you'll have one-on-one access to a specific coach. You can work with myself or my colleagues, and we'll help you craft an exceptional PSE.